A fourth spot in the sixth inning was enough to power the Tennessee Vols to its fourth straight Super Regional appearance. A 12-3 win over Southern Miss was brought to you by 5 home runs that helped meet and set a new single-season program record in home runs. The Vols now have 159 long balls and counting. A lot of that brought to you by Dean Curley, Kavaris Tears, and Cal Stark. You listen to it, and that's the middle and bottom of the order. And we all know 1 through 9, they can all do damage. I'm Paige Dower, and this is the Field Pass. Yeah, we all know 1 through 9 can cause damage, and it was actually Vanderbilt's head coach and Tim Corbin who re-emphasized that message after losing to Tennessee in the semifinal game in the SEC tournament, saying 1 through 9, they can cause damage. And if you don't remember it, I just want to play it back one more time.
You look at this Tennessee lineup, and any one of those kids can do damage from 1 to 9.
And like I mentioned at the top, thanks to the middle and bottom of the order for Tennessee, the Vols were able to have an offensive explosion against Southern Miss, and it actually came in those middle and late innings against Southern Miss as well. But I want to start with Dean Curley, who entering this weekend was on a near 2-month home run drought, and it was against Indiana that he was able to snap said drought, get his 10th home run on the year. And then against Southern Miss, he's like, I'm going to put the nail in the coffin on them, and actually that home run tied the program record with 158 home runs. I asked him, though, after Indiana, what was it like watching the ball leave the park, because it's a sight he hadn't seen, like I said, in 2 months, and he said it was a one-of-one feeling. And I'm sure when his home run that met the program record, it was only emphasized in that moment. And this was his team after the game against Southern Miss talking about that moment.
Great feeling. I mean, it's a one-of-one feeling. You can't make that feeling any other time. So just great feeling, great teammates to be there to make it even more special.
And then a couple of innings later, Cal Stark was maybe like, I'm going to do you one better. And his solo shot set a new single season record for Tennessee. They now have 159. That home run that Cal Stark hit to get to 159, it was actually his second of the night, which was his second multi-homer game of this season. He talked about that moment after the game.
He's going to meet challenges head on, and so we could dissect why he's gotten better offensively or why he's gotten better over the course of 4 years, but I think they all fall under the umbrella as he meets challenges head on.
Also, Tennessee loves the sixth inning. Statistically, it's one of their stronger innings. Entering their game against Southern Miss, they scored 103 runs in that inning alone. And then thanks to Kavaris Tears' home run, 3 more runs crossed the dish. And it's also his 18th on this season. And Coach Tony Vitello said after the game, a lot of that might have to do with their ability to adjust.
And we talked about SEMO at some point with the media. I think with Ben McDonald was asking, he's a good athlete, but he's kind of a puzzle solver too. And so you've seen people turn over the pitching when our lineup turns over or change the pitching. And I think our other guys are like that too. Coach Elanders puts in a ton of hard work, scouting report wise. So I think middle of the game is usually when you need to make some adjustments and figure some things out. And that requires hard work, communication, and also the willingness to try and make some adjustments and figure things out.
So the top of the order for Tennessee, it's a known entity. You've got Christian Moore, Blake Berg, and Billy Amick. It was the middle and bottom of the order for Tennessee tonight, though, that did most of the damage. They were responsible for 4 of Tennessee's 5 home runs. And we all know that when Tennessee gets a home run, we can expect the celebrations now in the dugout with the fur coat. It was actually the players' parents, specifically their moms, that were also able to get a hold of their own fur coat, and they got quite a bit of use out of it tonight. Christian Moore, he's been lights out at the plate all year long, but every player is inevitably going to have quiet innings and quiet games. He was quiet offensively for the most part to his standards throughout this weekend. And where he's actually maybe underrated is where he shined the most this weekend. And it sounds silly to say that he's underrated in this position because it's Christian Moore, the Triple Crown winner in the SEC. But you look at how other awards, defensive awards, are handed out even in the SEC tournament. He's an underrated player at second base. But the plays he made defensively this weekend were decisive plays, from his diving catches to even his routine groundouts. And after the game, Hunter Ensley said that those efforts reminded him of a certain player.
After the double play that this weekend, he looked a little bit like Robinson Cano out there. And I mean, I think I heard it on his own interview on Rally Cap, but that's who he kind of reminded me of this weekend. He was just flashing the leather all weekend, making a lot of diving plays that Sometimes it seems like he's just a little bit short on, but I thought this weekend he was phenomenal on the defensive side.
It's a lot of work into it to become better and better each and every day. So I think that work is kind of starting to show off. Making those plays is not an easy thing. And you can't really practice the plays that he'd been making, like the jump throw or dab and play. It's just kind of reactionary and just pure skill. So it's just, yeah.
And it's those defensive plays that Tony Vitello says will be a big part of their team meeting heading into Super Regionals.
I'm glad you pointed that out because that'll be a part of our meeting when we meet on Monday or Tuesday is the value you can add to a game without being the guy that's on Twitter or the guy that gets to wear a hat or whatever. He was incredible defensively tonight. And KT had a game like that where we didn't get much offensively at all, but he was incredible in the outfield. So good stuff.
And when the team was reflecting on the game, it was actually Coach Tony Vitello who said he might have brought a bit too much tension into the game, and maybe that's why the guys are playing a bit tight and tense at the plate as well, or even on defense on the mound. And it was actually on the mound that might have flipped the game for Tennessee in its favor. It was when Xander Sechrest took that line drive to his knee, immediately collapsing on the mound, but a couple of minutes later he was able to shake it off, get back out on the mound, throw a couple warm-up pitches, and then the next batter he faced, he actually struck out swinging, and then the defense was able to get an exciting out. He goes back to the dugout, hype, and I think it was that moment, and the team believes it too, that flipped the game for Tennessee. And it was the toughness that Xander showed on the field while still being able to be his fun and silly self that was able to kind of let the guys be a bit more loose, be more fluid in how they play. And Vitello was highlighting that moment after the game as well.
He's a tough kid in his own way. He's the definition of a quirky lefty. He's the definition of a lovable kid, of a great teammate. And then somehow it's kind of odd how he gets out there and he's also as much of a competitor as these two guys. So it's been fun to be around him, and it's been really cool to see him kind of evolve as a pitcher each year that he's here too. So that's why I think our guys have faith in him, and I think you guys wrote an article or something, but you can tell our fans kind of take to him like they do Chuck as well, and he's earned that. So certainly a competitor.
So Tennessee's road to Omaha is still alive and well after eliminating Southern Miss in the Knoxville Regionals, and then they'll host the Super Regionals in just a few more days for the first time since that 2022 season when Notre Dame was in town. But until then, I want you guys to go and maybe listen to Jimmy Hymes' interview with Sterling Hinton. They talk about his childhood, losing the starting quarterback job at Tennessee, and why Jimmy made Sterling mad. Until then, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe. I'll see you guys on